Welcome to Modern Motoring. I'm Jay. I'm with the 2026 Hyundai Palisade, and I'm doing more new stuff. So let's try this relaxation setting. And as this happens, I will say that Hyundai has gone extremely upscale, if not luxury-esque, with their 2026 all-new Palisade. Oh, there it goes. And the thigh extenders. And not only does it look the part, but it drives the part as well. And yes, there's a little less power here, but if you are looking for that premium luxury upscale look and feel from a mainstream brand in the three-row SUV market, well, Hyundai's done pretty well. So with that, let's get behind the wheel. Well, I already am behind the wheel. You know what I mean. Let's go check out what the 2026 Hyundai Palisade is all about. Let's start with our baseline numbers. So the gasoline trim gets a 3.5 liter V6, 287 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque. Power figures are down just a little bit from the previous generation, and that's just emission standards. And it's an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, with the upcoming hybrid, which should be here at some point in late 2025, as a 2026 model year, it's a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine, 329 horse, 339 pound-feet of torque, and a 6-speed automatic. Thank you, Hyundai, for not dumping in a very dull and boring CVT. Regardless if you go gas or hybrid, it's going to be all-wheel drive through their H-Track system. More numbers, and you should really pay attention to this because it'll come into play at the end of the video when I touch on pricing, and it's fuel consumption. In the gasoline trim, it is 11.9 liters per 100 kilometers, and it uses a 72-liter fuel tank, meaning you can go up to 605 kilometers on a full tank of fuel. The XRT trim goes up to 12.7 liters per 100 kilometers. That's just the nature of having an off-road based trim with bigger, chunkier tires and a little more weight. The hybrid, while Natural Resources Canada have not released figures yet, Hyundai says they're looking at around 7 liters per 100 kilometers. The fuel tank is a little smaller at 69 liters as opposed to 72 here on the gas trim. And that means you can go up to 985 kilometers, rounded up to 1,000. That is almost double the amount of total range from the hybrid compared to the gasoline trim. Here are your cargo figures from lowest to highest, from third row up to third and second row down. 540 liters, 1,310 liters, and 2,455 liters. Let's go through what's new, and the short answer is everything's new, but I'll go through the highlights. Dimension-wise, it's 2.55 inches longer, 2.1 inches taller, only 0.2 inches wider, which if you're used to the Palisade, if you have the first gen, and you're looking at the second gen, parking it should be the same, as in navigating it into smaller spaces because it hasn't grown that much width-wise. And the wheelbase is now 2.75 inches longer, and as such, that means there is more headroom, more legroom, more shoulder room, and it's just a bigger vehicle overall. Yes, on the dimension side, but you really feel it in here. Hyundai says this new generation of Palisade has the most amount of interior volume in class. And if they're shooting for that living room on wheels feel and look and style here, they have absolutely nailed it. There's a built-in dash cam for the front and the rear, and it's easy to use, easy to get your information from, and it's stored on a little chip inside the glove box, so it's easy to get to. And I cannot wait for the day where every vehicle across every trim has a built-in dash cam. Yes, the exterior is all new, and I don't usually go into looks because they're very subjective, but I will say a couple of things. These turn signals up front are massive, and if you've seen the Cadillac Lyriq and their monstrously oversized turn signals, this is similar, but it's actually done tastefully, and it looks very upscale, very luxury. And same thing around the rear. Now, the rear is just a series of squares lined up vertically, and same thing with the front, but the front is more of a rectangle look, and it just looks so, not intimidating, but it's unmistakable. Let's jump into the perk side of things, and Steph and I have done almost 2,000 kilometers on this in a week. We did a big road trip out to Quebec. We went to La Mauricie National Park, which is right in between Montreal and Quebec City. about an hour north, so lots of driving time here. It's smooth, it's quiet, the gears run up and down without any issues. We never had any concerns about acceleration or trying to avoid a collision or passing. I will go out and say right now that this 2026 Palisade drives the best in class. Mazda CX-90 is a very close second, and Mazda's driving dynamics are usually best in class for everything else that I've driven from the Mazda lineup versus the competitors. But the drive feel here in the Palisade it's astoundingly remarkable. It is luxury-esque, if not full-out luxury. This drives like the GV80 does. So if ride quality is a key driver for you, it's on your A-list, you want something smooth and quiet and responsive and not necessarily agile. It's still a three-row SUV, but something that moves with very accurate steering response and just that does it all and does it very well, then the Palisade should be on your list. The interior matches the drive feel. It is very luxury-esque in here. It feels so upscale and premium, and Hyundai's design team has taken a long look at what the old Palisade was and just completely revamped it. And then over and above that, they decided to just smatter all sorts of luxury bits and pieces here, from the long dash panel that has nearly no 90-degree angles anywhere, to the soft touch materials, to the way the seats feel, to the very clean and simplistic design of your climate controls. And yes, there are two 12.3-inch screens, and that's kind of becoming the standard across mainstream vehicles now. But just the way it's been integrated, it's recessed. It's not just a tablet slapped on as an afterthought. There's very intentional design here. The palm rest to get to your HVAC system, the bit of storage here in front of that center console, the large console underneath the driver's right elbow. Just everything here is so cleanly done, so well done, and it's not overly designed. It's not as minimalistic as Volvo's design is, but it's not over-designed. And yes, there's even a little tiny shelf. It's low down, it's hidden, and I think that's a smart idea because that would take away from the aesthetic overall. Standard features include a sunroof. They include tons of standard safety. There are 10 items on the Hyundai Canada website as far as standard safety goes. The highlights are forward collision alert, lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert. 2 more perks, and then we'll move on. First one being that third row space is actually comfortable. It's still a third row. It's not going to be as comfortable as the second row, but there is a surprisingly good amount of space back there, and I'd hang out there for a couple of hours on a road trip or just a longer drive. Plus, and this is in the Quirks pile as well, but whatever, I'll throw it here too. The rear windows for the third row, they've grown in size. So good job, Hyundai, on taking care of those people who are in the third row. I don't think anyone's in there by choice, but I think Hyundai's approach was, well, if someone's going to be there, we may as well give them a little more of an open air feeling. Last one will be going back to the driving side of things, and that's the turning radius being surprisingly tight for a vehicle of this size. Onto the Quirk side of things, and the infotainment screen angles down a little bit at the top right compared to the top left. I noticed it a lot more when I was driving as opposed to being in the passenger seat while Steph was driving, but it's just a small little quirky thing, and I understand why it is the way it is. It just the curved screen, and you'd have to add an extra bit to fill that little gap on the top right, but still quirky nonetheless. Next quirk is that the start-stop button is at the end of the stalk off the steering wheel, which means you will never touch it by accident, as opposed to some manufacturers who have the start-stop button in the center console, or just by their HVAC/shortcut or vents. I briefly touched on this in the perks, and it's going to be a quirk too. There are so many rounded pieces here, minimal 90-degree angles, and it just adds that upscale luxurious feel to it. The housing around the shortcut buttons and the climate controls and just everything overall has that nice rounded soft feeling to it. Even the whole frame for the dashboard nicely angles down, right angle-ish, well, it kind of has to be, but the integration here of smart and premium design with what I think is Hyundai really shooting to compete in the luxury market is executed excellently here. Sounds of Nature is still here. I don't think more than, I don't know, 10% of people actually use it or even know about it in their newer Hyundai vehicles, but I do, and I love it. And if I don't want to listen to a podcast or music or whatever it is, I'll just throw on that Sounds of Music, also known as Sounds of Nature. Not Sound of Music, that's completely different. I think it's a cool little add-on and very, very cool. And final quirk is that for a top trim, over 60,000 Canadian MSRP dollar vehicle, there's a manual sunshade for the front row. And I don't care that it's manual. It is certainly not an Irk, less moving parts with motors, less chance of something breaking. Onto the Irk side of things, and only one trim for the gasoline offers an 8-seat configuration, which is a little unfortunate. I would have liked to have seen the mid-trim gasoline version have at least an option for 7 or 8 seats. Now the base trim for the hybrid, you can go 7 or 8, and with the top trim hybrid, which is also the ultimate calligraphy, it's only 7, but I think just taking away that versatility from potential buyers, not the greatest move. The base trim, the preferred trend, gets 8 speakers, whereas every other trim gets 14, and that is a sizable difference, and kind of forces you to go up if you are going to spend a lot of time and audio is somewhat, if not really important to you. I'm not saying give everybody the 14 speakers, but make it a little more on the comparable side, like maybe throw 10 in there or maybe 11, but nearly doubling the amount of speakers the higher you go in the trim ladder compared to the base model just seems like a bit of a miss to me. And the same goes for a 360 cam. The base model does not get it, but the mid trim and the top trim XRT and Ultimate Calligraphy, they do get it. And I realize everything costs money and I understand the logic behind it, but for a 3-row SUV, I think that a 360 cam should be standard. Let's wrap up with pricing and competition. So there's a lot of numbers. I'm going to do a little bit of reading, but not too much. Here are your Canadian MSRP figures for these 3 gasoline trims. The preferred trend comes in at $53,699. XRT rings in at $57,799. And right at the top, which is the Ultimate Calligraphy, which is what I have, it is $62,499. Remember how excited I was in the beginning of this video for the hybrid trim? Well, here's why. Not only do you get nearly double the mileage out of it, but it's only $3,200 more. You will make up that in a couple of years, I guess depending on how much you drive, but it is not a matter of, I got to drive and I'm going to keep the car for 7, 8, 9, 10 years before I break even. Again, your fuel fill-ups will be approximately half as much as they are here in the gasoline model. Again, only $3,200 difference. If there is a downside to that, it is this. Gas model tows up to 5,000 pounds. Hybrid goes up to 4,000. If it was me, I would get the hybrid, no questions asked. I like saving money. I don't mind paying that $3,200 up front. It will be made up for in, again, next to no time, relatively speaking. On the competition side, here's what Hyundai listed off in their presentation. It's the usual suspects, so the Ford Explorer, Toyota Grand Highlander, Honda Pilot, Volkswagen Atlas, Mazda CX-90, Chevy Traverse, Subaru Ascent, and Nissan Pathfinder. So if you want something upscale and premium without dipping into the luxury world, it is hard to beat this. This could have easily been a Genesis. Nobody would have batted an eye. That's how upscale and luxurious this new Palisade is. I'd love to know your thoughts. Do you think that this is a luxury fighter? Do you think this is best in class? Or do you think this is, well, it's kind of okay, sort of, but it's not as impressive as I'm making it out to be? Let me know in the comments. I'm always happy to hear from you. I invite you to join the Modern Motoring social platforms. We are on all of the major ones. And without you, there is no Modern Motoring. So I thank you, I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.